Okay, hopefully. We're in Mark 15, 21 through 33. Okay, and this is about the crucifixion. And as Mark taught last week, he went into some detail, and I as I thought about that, I remember Cindy, Mark not wanting to get too graphic because Cindy didn't want to go there. Okay, remember, and it's interesting how sensitive we can be to that. Okay, about the crucifixion. But notice the passage we're going to read. I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to ask you some questions as you finish up there. This is Mark 15:21, and I want you to tell me when I'm done what the theme of this is. Is there a pattern here? Okay, a certain man from Sanhedrin, Simon, the father of Alexander and Rufus, was passing on his way from the country, and they forced him to carry the cross. They brought Jesus to the place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. Then they offered him wine mixed with myrrh, but he did not take it. And they crucified him. Dividing up his clothes, they cast lots to see what each would get. And it was the third hour when they crucified him. The written notice of the charge against him read, "The King of the Jews." They crucified two robbers with him, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "So, you who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, come down from the cross and save yourself." In the same way, the chief priests and the leaders of the law mocked him among themselves. "He saved others," they said, "but he can't save himself. Let this Christ, the King of Israel, come down from the cross that we may see and believe." Those crucified with him also heaped insults on him. And verse 33, "And at the 6th hour the darkness came over the whole land until the 9th hour." So, what is the theme of these? First off, were we able to place these verses? I'm going to start with the last one, Romans 16:13. Did you get that? No, you didn't. Okay, somebody did. Okay. Chris?
I put it under Simon because as you were reading verse 21, it talked about pressing into service of passerby, Simon the Cyrene, the father of Alexander and Rufus.
Yeah.
And Rufus was referenced in
Interesting how, I'm thinking about this as I'm preparing. When we talk about people in the Bible, how the Bible, and the Jews always had their ancestry locked down. I mean, I couldn't tell you, I can't go back more than 3 generations, okay? That's how locked down I am, okay? But they always say so-and-so, the son of, or, the son of so-and-so and the son of, but in this case, they said Simon, and they mention his sons. They go the other direction. They don't go, to your father and to your grandfather to recognize who you are. He's going the other, and there's a reason for that, and maybe we'll get to it. How about Matthew 27:54? And I've got the verse here, and it says, "Truly, this was the Son of God." Where would that one be? Jesus. Huh?
soldiers.
With the soldiers, maybe. Yeah. Okay, so there was some trick stuff going on here, maybe. I wasn't trying to be tricky. I didn't assign any of these verses to Jesus. Okay? I mean, interesting they all apply, right? But How about Luke 23:47? What's that? The soldiers, right. Surely this was a righteous man. And the ESV says, certainly this man was innocent. Okay. And Luke 23:40? Huh? The thieves, yeah. Okay. And Acts 2:36. Acts 2:36. Whom you crucified. Who is Paul talking to? The people. The people whom you crucified. And 2:41, Acts 2:41. The people, about 3,000 were added to this number that day. And Acts 6:7. The Sanhedrin, yes, the Sanhedrin. Okay. And then John 19:29. John 19:29. Somebody read that, okay? Because if Mark's disagreeing with me, I'd like to clarify the verse. Okay. Can somebody find for me John? If not, I'll find it. John, there you go.
A jar full of sour wine stood there, so they put a sponge full of the sour wine on the hyssop branch and held it to his mouth.
Okay, then I got the wrong verse. That doesn't help when I put the wrong verse. 19:20. Did I say 29? How about let me go back and look at you. Huh? Do I? Tried 19:22. See what that says here. That's Pilate, correct. Okay. What I have written, 19:29. Let me just look up John 19:29 again, and maybe there's a verse close to it.
I put all the verses with Jesus.
There you go. And typically in Sunday school, that's the right answer. Okay. So John, let me look here, and maybe I copied it down wrong, and which is way possible. Yeah.
19 is what you want.
Yeah, 19. Let me go to 19. Let me see. 19. Yeah. No, I'll have to take a pass. Anyway, do you get the? Can you help me with this? Is there a theme? Is there a pattern with the verses I've chosen, with the exception of John 19:29, because I didn't know what I was doing there? Okay. Is there a pattern, a theme?
Has to do with the crucifixion of Jesus.
What's that? Has to do with the crucifixion? Maybe. Yes.
Well, to me, it's the same people who were in this scenario are also in Acts, and also had, it's a broader.
The same people.
I think everyone realized.
Okay, we're getting warmer. Everyone
realized that he was in fact God.
The passage is very much, the passage itself, the Mark 15 passage, is very much about abuse and insult towards Jesus.
Sure. It sure is. You're picking up. What is your first name?
Norm.
Norm. I want to make sure I mark, positive mark for class participation. Okay.
Like fulfillment of the prophecy.
Okay. Go ahead. Keep going.
Whereas, at least in some of these, there is a little more affirmation of who Jesus was in terms of Son of God.
Exactly. So obviously, Robert, when you said, hey, these are all people that were, on the scene, right? I think that's what
That they all realized after what was happening that he was indeed who the man he said he was.
Yeah. I have spoken before, and I've said, isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing that Jesus would pluck one person? Here he is, he's nailed to the cross, right? And he would pluck one person out of the enemy camp and save him, right? And I was talking about the thief on the cross, right? And then as I'm studying this, I realized he didn't pluck one person. He didn't pluck one person. Look who he infected. Okay? From every camp, from every of all the participants, okay, with the exception of Pilate, okay? So the theme, the pattern on these verses that I was trying to communicate, and obviously not very well. Okay? But so now I can tell you what the pattern is. Okay? But I think you guys were getting close. It was that all these verses lead us to the fact that although they apply to all the people that surround the Lord at the crucifixion, and that he saves some from every camp.
That's good.
Isn't that good? I'm thinking, and I used to think, oh, it was just one. He just got one guy. He just plucked him out. Really, my vision was so narrow, and at the power of the Lord, right? So let's look at this, and on your handout that I've got there, I put down, I gave you, these are all, another theme on this is these are all New Testament verses, right? Mm-hmm. These are all new, and on the paper I handed out are all Old Testament verses. Interesting. Applying to the same group. Okay? And so, as Mark pointed out, okay, Norm, who used to be called Mark, okay, but now we call him Norm, but I think it's a very good observation as we look at this, is that this passage is not about the physical, brutal, slapping, punching, scourging of the Lord. Okay? No, the New Testament writers don't go. Notice this. The New Testament writers don't really go there. Now, John gets about as close as you get to that. Let's go to John. I would like to read John on this, John 19. Okay? And I'm going to start at verse 16 in John 19. And it says, finally, Pilate handed them over to be crucified. And so the soldiers took charge of Jesus. Carrying his own cross, he went out to the place of the skull, which in Aramaic is called Golgotha. Here they crucified him with two others, one each side, and Jesus in the middle. Pilate had a notice prepared and fastened to the cross. Okay. Notice there's some conflict here. We're going to get into this. There's a little conflict going on. Okay. It read, Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews, and many Jews read this sign, for the place where Jesus was crucified was near the city, and the sign was written in Aramaic, Latin, and Greek. The chief priests of the Jews protested to Pilate, do not write King of the Jews, but that this man claimed to be King of the Jews. And Pilate answered, what I have written, I have written. And when the soldiers crucified Jesus, they took his clothes, dividing them into 4 shares, one for each of them, but with the undergarment remaining. This garment was seamless, woven in one piece from top to bottom. Let us not tear it, they said to one another. Let's decide by lot who will get it. This happened that the scripture might be fulfilled, and you can go to Psalm 22 for that. Okay, and they divided my garments among them and cast lots for my clothing. So this is what the soldiers did. Verse 25, near the cross. Okay, and I'm going to stop there. So again, we don't see the horror, the physical horror of the cross here. What we see in Mark, and we also see in John, and I'm going to go back to Mark 15, is we see the people that are surrounded, that have surrounded Jesus, and how they are really indicted. Everybody is in on this, and one of the things that we should, as Norm pointed out, okay, that we should pay attention to here is that what made this different, this crucifixion, you know, this is not the only crucifixion that happened, right? We know that, right? Many others were crucified, including the two thieves. You know, there's a long history of crucifixions before this. It's possible there were 20 to 30,000 other people crucified, okay? It's a terrible way to go, okay? But it's not unique to the Lord. But what is unique is this part of the passage, which is the mocking and the abuse and the ridicule that he had to take on the way to the cross. So let's consider as we look at Mark, starting in verse 21. First, the first thing that happens here is that we have an innocent bystander, okay, Simon, who is told he needs to carry the cross. You know, I used to think, how unfortunate for him. I mean, here he is returning he's a Jew. He is just in Jerusalem because of the Passover, right? And he gets, you know, inscripted, whatever, I don't know if that's the right word, but told, hey, he must have been a big guy, I don't know, but you're carrying the cross. I'm thinking, God, his luck, right? In fact, his luck, his fortune, the Lord's provision to be included. You know, I discovered later on, you know, as I'm reading and I'm listening to some sermons, MacArthur points out that Simon, the reason they mention Rufus, okay, Rufus is mentioned in Romans. Simon goes back to where he's from, which was Tripoli, okay, and he starts a church there. He has a church, and they end up moving to Rome, and his son, Rufus, ends up being one of the leaders in the Roman church, and Paul greets him, right? And so the Lord, just by that he was walking by, he saves him and his whole family. Amen? But then we go on and we look at they offered him wine mixed with myrrh, but he did not take it. You know, back in the day, the Jews the Jews used they were referring to a proverb that says, you know, and I didn't write the proverb down. I may be making this up, so you have to check me. Okay, I always tell the kids, bring your Bible, because I make things up. Okay, but there is a proverb that says, you know, give those that are hurting wine or strong drink to ease their pain. Okay, and so they would give somebody who's being crucified, they would give him this. It's a mild analgesic, right? It's something to deaden the pain. The Lord did not take it. Why? He wanted to suffer the full wrath of the crucifixion. He didn't want there to be any talk about, oh, well, he was doped up, you know, when this happened. Of course, it wasn't that big a deal. Not so. He didn't take it. And they crucified him. Now notice this, it's mentioned twice. That's all they say. They don't go into any detail about the length of the spikes that they drove into his hands or through both feet. They don't talk about that. No, it's not, they don't deal with it here. They deal with it in the Old Testament. Interesting. Dividing up his clothes. And so notice this as I look at this. Now you can see that is there a pattern here that I've got on the, kind of looks like a cross, right? You know, interesting in art, the cruciform design is maybe one of the most recognized and beautiful design patterns that you can, if you paint, if you know, a lot of times what they say is, you know, you might get, because you're good with your brush or you can draw, you might get accepted into a show, right? But within the show, there are certain paintings that win awards, okay? And you know what they say? The judges say, No, the paintings that win the awards are the ones with the best pattern. It's the best pattern that wins the award. And think about it, as humans, we like a pattern. Even today, I was listening to Mark's pastor's sermon, and Mike said he mentioned the pattern a couple of times. A pattern. If you go back and listen to the sermon again, you'll hear that. But our eye is drawn to a pattern and a design, and the cruciform design is a very strong design. But look at this. Notice this. What is happening at the crucifixion? We've got some problems, some conflict going on. Obviously, the soldiers are not. They are sort of in conflict with Jesus. Would you say? I mean, when somebody's nailing you to a cross, I would say that's a conflicting situation. You would all go with me, okay? And of course, this wasn't their idea. They were pressed into service. They were just told to do what Pilate told them to do, right? So they were under orders. Notice this. Notice some other conflict, okay? The Sanhedrin, okay, who I've got placed at the bottom, okay, down here. And who did Jesus say to Pilate was the worst offender? Huh? Do you remember? The ones who brought the Sanhedrin, the leaders of the people were the worst offenders. They were the worst. Okay, they're here, and you notice this that the Sanhedrin and Pilate were in severe conflict. They had already reported Pilate to Rome 2 times. If they report him again, he's probably done with his job. He's out. And he knows it, and he is bitter against the Sanhedrin, right? And we'll get to how he repays them. But and then you notice that the people and Pilate are probably not best buddies, right? Because he's representing Rome. They're in conflict with Rome. Agreed? How did the people get along with the Sanhedrin? Not so good. Not so good. And you say, well, notice this as we read verse 25. And it says, and it was the 3rd hour they crucified him. What is the 3rd hour? 9 in the morning. 9 in the mornings. Now, consider this. Just to put the timing together a little bit, right? He was in the garden praying, right? Being tempted Thursday night. This is Friday morning, right? Thursday night, he's already been arrested, right? They came and got him in the middle of the night on Thursday night. He has had 6 hearings since then. 6. 3 by the Gentiles, 3 by the Jews. What? And they have him on the cross by 9 the next morning. What is the rush? What's the rush? Huh? Passover could be part of the rush. I'm going to give that answer credit, but it's not the one I'm looking for. Okay? Okay, so your grade is not going down over that answer, okay? What is the rush? Oh, talk to me about the people. What's the rush?
So no one could change their mind.
Bingo. Okay, the people, just a few days before, they were throwing down palm branches and calling him the king of the Jews. Am I right? This is the same people. Okay? And now they flipped. This is such a good group to be hanging with, right? They flipped. Okay? And now, interesting, the Sanhedrin is worried that the people may change their mind again. They better get him on the cross while they can. Oh, and how friendly are the Sanhedrin to the Lord? Oh, they are not happy with Jesus.
But Pete, don't you think they did it under the cover of darkness, and perhaps they gathered up a number of employees or whatever of the temple, and they all came in the cover of darkness, and they didn't want to do this in the light of day where the rest of the people could have, it was already done?
Well, obviously they broke their own law by having a trial at night, didn't they? Yes. But somehow, and what do we learn from this conflict, right? We learn that in a mob, is this not a mob scene? In a mob, this is contagious behavior. Bad behavior we've seen it on TV, haven't we? Oh, and I thought to myself, over 2,000 years, this humanity group that I happen to be involved with, okay, we've progressed so much. We've made such progress, haven't we? And now we've got it on film, how mobs react, right? And people, young women, you see them throwing bottles through windows and running in and taking out the clothes from I'm going, are you serious? This is what happens in a mob. Well, they were worried that the people, your grade just went just right to the top, okay? They were worried that the people were going to change their mind, okay? And so the Sanhedrin and the people weren't tight. Surely the Sanhedrin were looking for any excuse to get rid of Jesus, who is ruining their business. Right? He's ruining their business. They're going to be out of a job pretty soon if Jesus hangs around. And the Sanhedrin are upset with Pilate. Pilate is angry with the Sanhedrin, right? The people don't like either one of them. They're caught in the middle, okay? Oh, and then let's read on. So we've got this mob thing going on. Okay, again, this is all about the people. And then look at verse 27. They crucified 2 robbers with him, one on his left, one on his right, and those who passed by, okay? And so the people are mocking him, okay? The chief priests come down to verse 31. They are mocking him, okay? And then I think we read in, and then in verse 32, we read, and those crucified with him also heaped insults. Hold it. This has grown. The mob mentality, not only the Sanhedrin has infected them, they've pressured Pilate to kill. Pilate's the only one who's saying, really in this group, he's the one saying, look, seriously, the guy is innocent. He is so weak, right? Even his wife, he did not take good counsel from his wife, did he? His wife told him, do not hurt this man, stay away from him, leave the scene, right? Pilate's the only one who's going, seriously, he's innocent, right? And he has no connection to, does he have he has no axe to grind in this one. He is completely neutral, right? He's not a Jew. He's not one of the disciples, right? He's just completely neutral. And so what we've got, this mob mentality is now infected the 2 thieves on the cross. And they're on the cross dying, and they're not wagging their heads probably, because they probably can't move them, okay, or lifting up their nose, okay, and mocking the Lord, but they're heaping insults on him. And look at this. Everything that has happened here is all the scorn, and the Jews in particular are trying to make this a joke. And that's their thing. They're saying he called himself the King of the Jews. Seriously? From Nazareth, nothing what good comes from Nazareth, right? How foolish, okay? How foolish is this? This is a joke. And they're just heaping scorn on him. the people join in. Now, interesting, whose idea was it? There's a lot of questions today. Your grade could go up or down today. You didn't even know that when you came to class. But whose idea was it to crucify the Lord? Not the chief priest. I don't even want to know who said that. Don't want to know. Don't want to know.
The people.
The people. The people pronounced the judgment, crucify him, right?
They were excited.
Yeah, of course they were. I think look in Matthew. Look in Matthew, and let me see if I can find it here.
It's also in John.
In John, thank you. Okay, but the people say, crucify him. This wasn't, Pilate's trying to let him go, and the people are saying, no. Give us Barabbas and crucify Jesus. Crucify the guy who was going throughout all of Galilee healing people. Crucify him. And give us back Barabbas the murderer. Give us back that guy. This was a good group. Okay?
In Matthew 26 and verse 2, it says that Jesus said, the Son of Man will be delivered up to be crucified. So he said it first.
Well, first, thank you. Okay, and so the Lord knew, right? But the people proclaimed the judgment. Okay, I always thought that it was Pilate who decided to crucify him, right? No, it was the people. It was their judgment. He was good to just have him whipped and released. Am I right? That's what he wanted. Okay, so he's no Boy Scout. Okay, on this, just saying. So notice this, that everyone is in on the thing of persecuting, heaping scorn, mocking the Lord. That makes his crucifixion so different. And so we've talked about the conflict between the groups. And the other thing is, I was thinking about this conflict, and us humans, right? How we've gotten so much better over the last 2,000 years. Today we really don't have conflict between the religious leaders and the heads of state and the people and the people in the military and the people in prison. We all get along so much better today, okay? Because that's what we do. We get better. So I'm noticing that. But other thing I notice is that, think about this for a second. Whenever Jesus is preached, there's conflict. Just go to the bank with that one, okay? You preach Jesus, we're going to have division. Jesus, division, okay? And I'm going to just touch on the thief a little bit. I mean, obviously we could do a whole lesson. We could do a number of lessons on the thief on the cross, right? But in this passage it says both thieves, right? But we know somehow one thief changed his mind. Think about that, right? All of a sudden he's chastising the other thief. He says, "Have you no fear of God?" How did that happen, right? And so let's look at the Old Testament verses here. And I didn't answer the question, how did that happen? But maybe we'll get there. But let's look at the Old Testament verses that you have on your paper, okay? And notice, and we don't have time today to read through all that, but I would recommend this when you get home today. Read Psalm 22. This gives us the Psalm 22, written by David, right? For anybody know how many years before the cross David wrote that? 1,000. 1,000 years. Just saying. He's giving details on the crucifixion. We get the most detail in Psalm 22. Very interesting. Isaiah 53:5. It talks about the soldiers, right? Isaiah was written 700 years before Christ. Zechariah 12. I've got Zechariah 12:10. Zechariah, I think, was written 300 years before Christ. Is it possible, I'm just throwing this out, is it possible that, it says that Paul went, and he went into the synagogues and he preached, right, when he was doing his missionary journeys, and he preached Jesus, and he proved to them that Jesus was the Christ. Remember? He says, is it possible that those were the verses he used? Is it possible that when Jesus was walking on the road to Emmaus, that those were some of the they knew their Old Testament, right? And so as we look at this, and I've got everybody that was on the scene pretty much. Don't I have them up on the board? Who am I missing? Is there somebody really missing that I missed on the board?
Women.
There's some women around, right? Yeah, there is. I'm with you. So I could have put the Marys. There's 15 of them. Okay. I don't know. There's a bunch of obviously Mary, the mother of Jesus, was there, right? And then because they ran out of names, they named Mary's sister Mary. And then there was another Mary, right? Nicodemus and Joseph of Arimathea, they show up, there's other, John is there, right? Yeah, but who, as we look at this, you go, there is someone missing in this. It's like the elephant in the room. Huh? God the Father is missing. He's missing. I'm thinking to myself, and MacArthur mentioned this. He said, if in Exodus, when Moses was talking to the people, right, and he says, do not touch the holy mountain. If you touch or if an animal goes near, they will die if they touch the holy mountain. These people were slapping and spitting in the face of the Lord, of the anointed one, the holiest. Amen? Where shouldn't they be annihilated? Shouldn't the earth open up and swallow them right now for this offense? That would be would it not be justice? And he's not there. And I thought, well, this, and I'm listening to a MacArthur sermon, MacArthur said, but he is there, and I couldn't find him. I couldn't find him. But look at this verse. Go to Mark 15. Verse 33. Mark 15, verse 33. And at the 6th hour, darkness came over the whole land until, oh my goodness. The Lord, the God the Father, and I don't have the verses, but you can do your homework just like I can. But he is described as darkness in some places in the Bible. Okay? I mean, Jesus is described as light, but there are places where it's described as darkness. And how is it that at came over the whole earth at the 6th hour? Is that not noon? At the brightest part of the day, it becomes completely dark. God the Father shows up. And why doesn't he just open up the whole earth, right? And swallow these people now, right? That's what I'm thinking. And, and I've often thought, and why didn't Jesus just show them and step down off the cross? And they said, the chief priests and the Pharisees said, well, if you are the Christ, come down from the cross and we will what? No, they won't. That's a lie. Because he did something greater than that. He rose from the dead. I always thought stepping down from the cross would be a pretty miraculous thing to do, right? I mean, I would have been blown away. As a kid, I always think, why didn't the Lord do that? Right? But he did something even, while you're alive, you can, the chances are you could do something, right? But when you're dead and then you rise from the dead, oh my gosh. And did they believe? Did the leaders believe? No, they paid the soldiers, right, to tell a lie. They didn't believe. So God the Father shows up. Now I'm going to give you some verses on your notes there today. I want you to put in these verses and put them in because the Lord is here. God the Father is here. Okay, and you can put the verses in here and over here and down this way. Okay, put these verses in. Let me find them. This is good. Isaiah 53:10. This is so powerful. It says, and it was the Lord's will to crush him and cause him to suffer. Are you kidding me? How about this? Isaiah 53:6. The Lord has laid on him. And Isaiah 53:4. So, the Father was there. And it was his will. Amen.